1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Kojo, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, I know the setup is a little different, because we're gonna be doing something a little different today. I was on Twitter, scrolling, minding my business, and I got to thinking about, what a great decade it was for music. And then I stumbled across this article that said that Beyonce's Lemonade was the best album of the decade. I immediately disagreed for two reasons. One, it's not. And two, it's not even her best album of the decade. So it also got me thinking, what was my best albums of the decade? Now, I'm big on R&B and I'm big on hip-hop. So I decided I'll give you my top 5 R&B projects of the decade, and I'll give you my top 5 hip-hop projects of the decade. I know none of you guys are gonna agree with me, and some of you will, but that's what I want. So stay tuned, and let's get into this list. Let's get to it. So, coming in at number 5 on my top 5 R&B projects of the decade, I'm giving it to Frank Ocean's Channel Orange. Now, to me, this was Frank's statement project. I'm a big fan of Nostalgia Ultra, but when Channel Orange came out, I feel like this is the album that ascended Frank into superstardom, and it was undeniable. This album is the album that he released shortly after he came out as bisexual. So it was big for him as an artist and as a person. He had big records like Pyramids, Sierra Leone, Super Rich Kids, and also that big record, Forrest Gump. But other than that, this album was vocally amazing. So shout out to Frank, and he gets the number 5 spot on my top 5 R&B projects of the decade. Coming in at number 4 on my top 5 R&B projects of the decade is Bryson Tiller's Trap Soul. Now this album right here was super special. Now Bryson Tiller was probably a very unknown artist around the time when this album came out. This album made him into a superstar, I guess, if we really being honest. Now this album also came out during a time where I was going through a breakup and I needed to hear it to kind of get over it. There was a lot of great records on there, like Exchange, his number 1 hit, Don't. Also records like Been That Way, Sorry Not Sorry. I think this album was a very critically acclaimed one. And I think many people will agree that it is a top 5 project of this decade. So shout out to Bryson. Coming in at number 3, a very great project, which I know a lot of you guys forgot about, but it's 2020 Experience by Justin Timberlake. This album right here, when I tell you cohesion, this was it immaculately. It was the most cohesive R&B project that I've heard in a very long time. And still, I don't think there's an R&B project that has come out since then that can match the cohesion of it. I think the collaboration between Justin Timberlake and Timbaland, as far as production and vocals go, is just really seamless. They've been working together for a very long time. So I think the production of this album on a grand scale is what takes it to the next level. I think records like Strawberry Bubblegum or Don't Hold the Wall, obviously Suit and Tie with Jay-Z, records like those just carry this album. But my favorite song on this project is Mirror. At the end, I think it is the beautiful outro. And for that reason, I'm giving Justin Timberlake's 2020 Experience the number 3 slot on my top 5 R&B projects of the decade. Coming in at number 2, A Seat at the Table by Solange. I must be honest about this particular project. When it first came out, I was not ready to listen to it. I saw my whole timeline talking about it, raving about it actually. And I was just like, why is everybody going so hard for Solange? At that point in time, I just wasn't a fan of her music. But I finally gave it a chance, and I'm honestly just glad that I did. It is one of the best R&B projects that I've heard in my whole life. And I'll be just genuinely honest about that. I think Cranes in the Sky is one of the most beautiful records ever crafted. I think the message in this album, as far as what she was trying to deliver, especially with her using Master P as an interlude through most of the album. I just think like the empowerment that she was pushing and the pride as a Black woman and as a Black person in general that she was projecting with this album, it was flawlessly executed. And also I got a chance to see her perform it live at Made in America, and that set was just amazing. So I'm giving Solange's A Seat at the Table the number 2 slot on my top 5 R&B albums of the decade. And coming in at number 1, I don't want to hear no arguing. This is an R&B album to me, Anti by Rihanna. Nothing has changed. Rihanna is still a boss. And this album is the last album she's given us. And because of that, it makes us appreciate how great Anti was. Think about that summer when Work came out. What were you doing? Yes, you were shaking your ass. But in all seriousness, this album is really, really, really great for Rihanna. When I hear songs like Needed Me, Sex With Me, Love on the Brain, those songs just, they just resonate with me in a different manner. This album made me download Tidal. Like, literally. I knew I couldn't get the album without getting Tidal. So what I do, I signed up. Rihanna is, she's a boss in all forms. And I think this album was that album for her to show that. I was very used to Rihanna dropping an album every year since she was out. And between this album and her previous one before it, she took a couple years off. She made us wait. And then she hit us with this, and it was well worth it. So to me, as far as entertainment value, as far as superstardom, Anti is my number 1 R&B project of the decade.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2,